Hello all, James here. Now, Paul Triple H Levesque was back in full-blown public relations mode yesterday for his appearance on Busted Open Radio on the WWE Radio Sirius XM channel, where nothing will change. That is, except for the presenters that get fired, and the promotions that they do or do not cover, and the news that they're allowed to talk to or not allowed to talk to and about, and then the tone of the news and the reviews and all those important rants, etc. Now, unfortunately, Triple H is absolutely horrible at public relations, entirely tone deaf, and he always seems to make the fans' relationship with the WWE even more strained with every interview he does, especially when he not only blames the wrestling fans for ruining WWE shows by scrutinizing the product too much and taking WWE too seriously, while having the gall, the bare-faced cheek, no less, to charge thousands of dollars for a single ticket to their shows and three figures a month just to follow all the action on television with all the ESPN and everything else. For that price, and the amount of time it takes to watch everything WWE churns out on the weekly, I am damn well going to take my hobby and my financial and emotional investment seriously, thank you. But what Triple H said in this interview goes beyond the pale into the downright offensive. Not only blaming fans for being unhappy with WWE at times, like that Kent Brockman, I placed all the blame squarely on you, the viewers, but deflecting away from creative's hand in proceedings and putting the heat on the wrestlers instead. The interview starts. I'm not going to play the whole interview, I'm just going to talk to you about it. With everybody tonguing each other's boxes, as is the norm, of course, on WWE Radio, with WWE wrestlers and personnel and everything going on it. And how great WWE and WWE Radio is and blah, 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 blah. And then there's actually an achievement here. That how WWE has reached such mainstream recognition that they don't have to pretend to be real anymore. Boy, they sure got that one down. They had it down for years, but now they really nailed it. Now, Triple H describes WWE as a television show about sport, aka it's fake. But the emotions are real, despite it being a scripted show. And the physicality is real, even though it's simulated violence, but yes, it does hurt. And what people put into it, as far as the wrestlers go, is real, which is absolutely true. Maybe more so than any other sport or business that he's ever seen. Dave LaGreca, who's the host, makes an interesting comment saying other sports stars, when he was working in the NFL, it was like pulling teeth to try and get them to do interviews, whereas the wrestlers really do want to do the interviews. And that Triple H and WWE has made it easy for him. Hey, I guess that's one way to spin it all into a positive. LaGreca then says fans are passionate about WWE too. Triple H says whether right or wrong, he loves the passion of the fans, which is entirely bollocks with what he's about to say. Triple H says he laughs when he... Give me a couple of minutes for that, by the way. But Triple H says he laughs when he hears old-timers and former wrestlers on podcasts talking about how it's okay that they give away secrets about pro wrestling and the business, but it's not okay when WWE does it on their podcasts or Unreal or during the shows. Yeah, that's right! It's okay when people not on the show talk about the behind-the-scenes stuff with pro wrestling. Look, the horse has already left the barn, long since bolted from that barn many, decades earlier now. And quite frankly, I don't mind learning secrets and backstage factoids about a feud or a segment or a match or whatever after it's already occurred, not during the feuds and rivalries and whatnot, which for the most part takes me out of the story, unless it's like these people really do hate each other in real life. That helps, but that's the only time it helps. It is no fun when the company putting on the production after the show, before the show, or especially during the shows, constantly peel back the curtain and ruin the illusion of what is happening. How hard is that to understand? I ask you. You don't go to a magic show where, I don't go to magic shows, but you don't go to a magic show where they tell you, they do the trick, and then halfway through every single trick, they stop and tell you what's going to happen next or how this was done before. But Penn and Teller might well do that for a trick or two just to let you in a little bit, which is great. But then they keep all the real secrets hidden to make their show, to keep you coming back, right? I don't want to see, and this is all just during shows, I don't want to see adverts for WWE Unreal during the shows, or the podcast adverts, or during promos, or during commentary where everyone is winking and nudging at the audience constantly, or rivals hanging out backstage or wherever it might be on social media in the middle of a blood feud. I want stuff to be taken more seriously on the shows, on social media, everywhere. And I'm not even referencing like Danhausen, for example. You need the comedy too. It's not about that whatsoever. We all know wrestling is fucking bullshit. We all know what it is. Dutch says you hear 3 things when you're a kid if you're a wrestling fan. Say your prayers, brush your teeth, and wrestling is fake. But we know every other fictional TV show is bullshit as well. The difference is those shows don't try to actively take you out of the moment at any given opportunity, especially for the director or the writer's own ego or desperate need to be on screen all of the time, for example. Imagine watching Breaking Bad, probably my favourite show of all time, and Hank Schrader, right before Jack Welker is going to shoot him in the desert, and Dean Norris just actually kind of just like looks around, looks at the camera, winks at the camera, and said, hey, the bullet isn't real, and we're all friends, really, before proceeding with the death sequence. They don't do that because it ruins the illusion of this fake world that you have invested your time and emotion into. And if WWE's the thing, a lot of money as well. Triple H just said himself, WWE is a television show or a weekly movie about sports. That's what he described WWE as in this interview. You have to keep a basic sense of cohesion and groundedness and play by the rules. You set yourself in this fictional world that you create, or you ruin it. Whether it's WWE or Ozark or Ted Lasso or EastEnders or any Marvel or DC franchise film, the worlds they create and the fans who follow these programs need to be treated with respect. And when the fans aren't happy, you need to ask yourself what went wrong and perhaps even adjust accordingly. What you don't need to do is blame the fans for not enjoying the slop that you dish out because you have no respect for the audience. Anyway, Triple H nor anybody else in the creative room or in TKO apparently anywhere else seem to fully grasp this concept. It's not everybody else's fault all the time, especially Paul Levesque, actually, who then goes on yet another tone-deaf rant about fans not being happy with the product. And I'm going to read them out to you, then I'm going to take all the points one by one. That passion is what drives... In fact, can I... one sec. Just so you've got something different to look at, I thought I'd put some words up. That passion is what drives people, right? And it's no different than the NFL, where the guys have never played a down of football in their life or haven't played since Pee-wee or whatever, are screaming and ranting, this coach sucks, he knows nothing about football, doesn't understand the games. Why would he run that play? Why wouldn't he do this? Why would they draft that guy? There's millions of reasons why. I don't think that's actually... Yeah, there is. But it's that passion. Oh, I've made it bigger. Ooh, Mr. Grimsdale. I've got a few more words that they've left out of this quote, but I'm just going to read it all anyway. There's millions of reasons why, but it's that passion, and just like the NFL or NBA or Major League Baseball, people sit on their couch and yell, and I'm done, I'm never watching the Knicks again, they suck. And then they win, and now they're the greatest thing ever. And you know, people are turning out in droves. I thought the thing said tuning out, but it's turning out in droves. So it's amazing, it's passion, it's at the end of the day, it's what we do. I wish sometimes we could put that passion into the talent now, as opposed to, you know, it's like when somebody gets heat in our business, it's like, God, why would they write that way, as opposed to, like, that no good piece of crap, right? It's talking about the wrestlers, by the way. There's some, I wish people could buy into something like, there's something to say the innocence of not knowing and it's still being real to me, damn it. I mean, David Willis' catchphrase spreading far and wide there. But it is what it is, but I love that. I love the hate. I love the love. It's all passion for what we do. That passion is everything we do. Okay, let's take this one step at a time. Yes, not everybody who watches pro wrestling has actually pro-wrestled at a high level. But this is not sports, as you keep reminding us. This is a television show about sports. The vast majority of people know what they like and they don't like about a show, any fictional show, not just wrestling. Do they all have the best ideas of how to improve what they don't like on screen with any fictional show? No. But what long-time wrestling fans, and the majority of the audience are long-time wrestling fans, by the way, because the 50-plus demographic is by far the largest demographic for WWE, have a good handle on what good wrestling and bad wrestling is. Triple H then talks about how fans complain about WWE, the same that sports fans complain about their team because they are losing. Then they're right back to when the sports team is starting winning again. I mean, one, is he inferring that WWE is losing here? Because it sounds like he is. Also, when are the fans coming back? WWE loses viewers year on year, pretty much every single year, and has done for decades. Now, partially that's because of cable subscribers cutting the cord. Partially it's because there's so much entertainment and so many distractions demanding your attention all the time that wrestling is just one of a million different things you can watch. But mostly because WWE, maybe not mostly because the cable thing and the other two are very important as well, but also WWE are just not serving their masters, the fans, effectively enough. Now, WWE Raw's global Netflix ratings are no different. Real sports competition doesn't matter anywhere near as much as it used to because Raw counts the ratings. They account for global views over the past 7 days, not live. So it doesn't matter when you watch it as long as it's the first 7 days, and practically nobody watches live anymore anyway, so they can skip the ads. That being said, the past 10 weeks of Raw views, and keep in mind this is globally, have achieved 2.4 million on average. The World Cup is long over now as well, yet Raw is still falling out of a lot of countries' top 10 most viewed for the week. From May, the global Raw viewership dropped from averaging around 3 million, I should actually say this, 3 million in the first 4 months of 2026 for Raw, about 3 million an episode, and then from like the last 10 weeks, they've dropped 20%, and now it's averaging 2.4 million. It's not just the US, that is the global viewership is 2.4 million. Then there's the ticket sales, which are hit and miss at this moment. The biggest miss being SummerSlam, where TKO are almost pleading the fans to attend with their $25 ticket giveaways. We are 2 days out, and WWE, I need to find this here so I can show you. We're 2 days out, and WWE have sold, and when was this posted as well, because it's very important, July 28th, so 2 days ago as well, 32,625. So it could be conceivably up to maybe 34,000 or so. But we are 2 days out from SummerSlam Saturday at this point, and 34,000, maybe being generous there, but 34,000 is still some 17,000 people less than SummerSlam last year, despite the price drop. And we want WWE to be winning in that sense. They are our home team if you're a WWE fan, but they simply aren't. But it's not WWE's creative fault, apparently. Sorry, someone was at my door. Triple H doesn't want... I've got to find where I was now. Triple H doesn't want to hear you blaming the writers. No, he actually wants you to move more of your complaints to the wrestlers, as he said before. So if something goes wrong on screen, or is not well received more specifically, well, here's what he said, quote, "I wish sometimes we could put that passion into the talent now, as opposed to, it's like when somebody gets heat in our business, it's like, God, why would they write it that way, as opposed to like that no good piece of crap," right? That is the quote. Triple H wants WWE thought of as a television show like any other. I will not stop harping on about this. Who do fans blame when a TV show goes bad? The writers of said TV show, the director of the movie. That's who gets the blame, and for the most part, rightly so, unless the actor's terrible, or, the casting's bad or something like that. But they do the casting as well. Yes, there are always money men and producers and whatnot above the creative, sticking their oar in when it isn't needed at times, like TKO does with the Danhausen thing, I'm sure, from Monday as well. But the buck stops with Triple H for the most part and the creative team. But he is unwilling to take any accountability. When's the last time you heard him say, "Oh, hold my hands up, that was terrible"? The performers are, for the most part, good to very good, who WWE have on the roster. But it's the writing and the booking that turns wrestlers into superstars for a lot of the time, and the money draws for a lot of the time. And Michael Cole, if you believe what he was saying recently, well, we get over 95%, only 5% of the wrestlers would ever get over without the commentators. I was like, who have you got over, Michael Cole? Come off it. Anyway, it's the creative and most part who makes or breaks a performer, right? And who gives the opportunities to the wrestlers? It's Triple H and creative at this point. Who hires them and fires them? It's Triple H and creative and a few other people at the top and the board. Maybe not even the board. Who gives them verbiage? It's Triple H and the creative team. They even tell the wrestlers how to wrestle while they're in the ring. They control everything. Yes, the agents guide the wrestlers through the matches, but above the agents are like your Michael Hayes and Bruce Pritchard, right? And they are they're there to make sure that creator's vision is being met. Creative in WWE is the ultimate arbiter of whether the shows are good or not, whether the wrestlers get over or not for the most part. The buck stops with them mostly, not the wrestlers, especially in the non-wrestling segments. Hey, I mean, performers have off days, or they might have, but you work to people's strengths as well. That's another creative thing. That's another part of booking. Funny how Triple H wants all of the credit for when WWE shows go well, and then takes none of the blame when they don't. He actually said if something isn't looked on fondly by fans, he wants the heat on the wrestlers, not himself. Once again, he said that. Then Triple H finally points out about loving the passion of the fans. He hates the passion of the fans. He hates outspoken wrestling fans. That's what he hates. And that recent TKO town hall meeting, I think it's the most recent one they did. Him and Nick Khan, president of WWE, made fun of so-called fan criticism where they didn't cite where they pulled these quotes from or who they were from. They pulled these quotes out to prove that the fans know nothing about the product and how they're always wrong. And they were not to be paid attention to, right? This is the bubble these people live in. Triple H wants you to sit there, consume WWE media like a good little lamb, and, of course, enjoy the show. He spent several minutes whining about hate and criticism in this interview. And this is far from the only time he spent considerable time in interviews complaining about fan criticism, by the way. And nothing specific, he just hates it in general. Bitching about the fans. WWE is clearly... Here's the thing. WWE is clearly at this point, for the last 18 months, well, the last 7 months at least, absolutely, since John Cena retired, is clearly trending downwards in ticket sales and views. It's as simple as that. To make things more amusing, nobody even asked Triple H about fan response or anything. He just launched into it. It was on his mind, but apparently it doesn't bother him. Like Ric Flair randomly bringing up Dutch Mantel and Stevie Richardson, briefly me, when nobody asked him to, and then claimed, doesn't bother me. Clearly bothers you. It's on your mind constantly. Is this what WWE Radio is going to be in the future? WWE performers and office personnel complaining about anybody who doesn't like everything WWE puts out there. I mean, it sure seems that way with this one. I didn't hear anybody challenging Triple H on any of his points, let me tell you. It's only Dave LaGreca and Nick Nemeth. Later on in the same interview, Nick Nemeth asks about house shows, what's the right number. Triple H says he doesn't know, but the main place you learn is in the car rides after the shows. He then talks about some of the younger wrestlers, and then Triple H, the guy who just previously was lamenting that fans don't just enjoy the show, and he wishes more people would just get lost in the stories, then talked about how Brock Lesnar is personally mentoring Obafemi and has been for months. Brock Lesnar and Obafemi are currently feuding, and Triple H is openly talking about this in the build-up to SummerSlam this weekend by exposing that Brock Lesnar and Obafemi are friends and compatriots or whatever else it might be, mentor-mentee relationship between them. Honest to fuck, I mean, that just didn't need to be out there. How does that help anyway? I know at the beginning Triple H was like, hey, other people could expose the business, why can't I? It's because you're trying to create the illusion. Vince McMahon always said, we're making magic. Just make magic. Don't try and just crush the magic at every single turn, like he just did that. It's like Triple H is just out there to ruin everything for as much like a sport like duck hunting. Oh, you're interested? That duck represents Obafemi and Brock Lesnar on the SummerSlam card. You might be interested. Here we go. There we go. That's dead now. Blam. Take that. Well, you're not probably as interested now, knowing that they really like each other. Triple H, and once again, we know that they probably like each other, or because they're working together, but we don't need to be told that because it ruins the illusion. Triple H, who last month on Stephen A. Smith said that wrestling is supposed to be fun, and that people take this too seriously in WWE storylines, etc. He is actively sucking the fun out of it with every interview he does. Triple H blames you when they write bad shows, because they write bad TV shows, but they don't want you blaming the writers of a television show for writing a bad television show. They want you to blame the wrestlers or yourself for not accepting it, Then he goes on WWE Radio and then he slips in little bits of info about the matches to make you even less excited about Brock and Ober. Then he has the barefaced cheek once again, the gall, the unmitigated gall, the blue plum nutsack, to go out there and say that nobody else's opinions are valid because they aren't pro wrestlers, just like fucking Moose did a few months ago. These people gaslight themselves into believing that they are always 100% right at the time. They are above you. Their opinion, they've done it longer than you have, that kind of thing. And yeah, their opinions in a lot of ways mean a lot, of course, because they work in pro wrestling, etc., etc. They're going to have far more of an understanding than humble me, for example. But the fact is that they don't know everything. And when so many people are telling you the exact same things over and over and over again, and your response is to say, well, you're the one with the problem, we're perfect. JP Morgan recently lowered their price target for TKO stock down slightly from $225 to $222, thanks to poorer SummerSlam ticket sales than expected, and specifically current fan sentiment. Triple H is not helping fan sentiment here by improving anyway, by saying that the fans aren't playing along like we want them to. How dare they? Especially considering that last episode of Raw was absolute grade A tripe. Vince Russo recently said on Talk is Jericho, bro, this is the worst creative in the history of the WWE. This is, I'm going to forget the accent, this is worse than Stephanie McMahon, because Triple H is the politician. Triple H is in the seat, and now we're seeing that Triple H, what he can do. And let me tell you something, bro. What Triple H can do is not pretty. Which is weird, because he was a decent booker in NXT. Anyway, now do I think this is the worst creative in the history of WWE? No, I don't. I remember the late 2010s, but do I think that these shows are the worst formatted shows in the history of WWE? Yes, I do. The formats for these shows are interminable. They're terrible. Take Raw, which I hate, on Monday, this past Monday. Which is weird, because I actually really liked the SmackDown the week before as well. 4 matches on Raw this past Monday. None of the matches generate any interest whatsoever for me, whether they promote them in advance or not. And then 3, and they probably don't pay attention to this, but imagine if they promoted this, here's what you get in 4-match card, and none of the matches are even a tiny bit interesting to you. They'd sell no tickets. WWE as a brand sells tickets. But apart from those matches with no consequence, 3 major non-wrestling segments were also present. One kind of cool / kind of stupid, that Oberfemi and Brock Lesnar Hell in a Cell thing. There were lots to pick apart with it, and there was some that was really cool as well. One impossibly tedious segment, that was Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, that was the main event, and one of the worst segments of all time. A full song and dance number with Danhausen and Joe Hendry. The rest of the show was filled with commercial after commercial after commercial. Once again, this is a formatting issue. And hype videos. So many hype videos for SummerSlam. So many, in fact, that not only did they bog down Raw even more than normally it would have done into the depths of tedium, but the show came across as an extra long episode of Jacked, or for us at least, that post-phone-in version of Livewire. Essentially, a recap show with a few unique matches of zero consequence. I don't care the Women's Intercontinental Championship change hands. It doesn't matter. How many minutes of wrestling was actually on that show? I'll find out. Roughly about 42 minutes in a show that probably went 2.5 hours. So, still no challenges of Triple H's words from the hosts of Busted Open Radio. I guess that's just going to be how it is from now on, of course, despite the fact that nothing will ever change. But you better toe that company line, or else Busted Open Radio is soon going to be hosted by Michelle McCool. That's the video. I will see you tomorrow for more.